Alright, without further ado, we're going to go on to part 2 of the king. These advisors of the court, these men of high standing, they sought many different avenues for their ability to usurp this king by developing their own paranoia around what this king is capable of and what it is that this king will do with his abilities that are so foreign to them. So they dig deep, and they actually do find that there is a deep, untapped well beneath the kingdom, a good 50 miles or so. They set off to find this well of legend and see if it had something to do with the king. They travel down these narrow passageways, near collapsed, but covered in this luminescent blue glow. They continue to sift through what almost is a passable stairwell down into the earth till they come upon it. A large room with a raised platform. Dark blues, light blues, colors so tranquil, yet for some of them, the more aware amongst them, can't help but feel cold chill running through their bodies, starting at their fingertips as they press forward into this domain. They start gossiping amongst each other, almost as if there were a phantom whispering in their ears, making them think that somebody else is talking, that somebody around them has been saying something in their ear or hush or just under their breath. So they stop and they look at each other with questioning looks on their faces, and crossing each one of their faces as they just examine each other, examine where they are. Some of them, stomachs turn, feeling gross as they continue to move forward. Some of them even consider telling the king about this place, or even just not even telling the king and just having this place just destroyed, buried. Because everything about it is just wrong. Something so wrong. It looks so beautiful and alluring, but it's just wrong. There's something here. There's something not quite right with this place. I know what you mean. Something is talking to us. It sounds just like you. It sounds just like me. It sounds like all of us here. They count to being 5 amongst them. 3 wait outside. They are the female lords, ladies. They too begin to feel queasy, and they hadn't even stepped inside. They gossip and rumor amongst each other as well. Well, something's just not quite right with this place. Everything's just sick. Yeah, sick. Their visions begin to turn twisted and nasty. Everything that seemed so firm and real dripping away into an ooze, a slime. Everything about this place and everything about what they were doing just isn't right. And it finally begins to dawn on them. But as it does, it's not the only thing to awaken. Their senses, their awareness, everything is heightened as it is now. Something else takes notice. Something cold, distant, somewhat wretched. As the ooze in the realm, in this field, in their vision, everything twists, taints, and almost like a slime, a foam, begins to run out of the raised platform and even out of the hole they entered in the ground. Everything just begins to change and move and jiggle, gyrate. As all of it begins to twist, they find themselves in an open field, being looked down upon by something so intense they can't bear to look it in the eyes, that they know is burrowing into them as they stare down at their feet, like kids getting scolded for something that they know that they did. They couldn't bear to look up. Everything in them told them to run, but there was nowhere to run. They were so scared, so defeated by its presence. I watched them for a good long while, not making a sound. Nothing. Dead air, sifting into its grave around them. Knowing nothing but the endless stretch of this eternal hell, forever being looked upon, but not bearing to look back. Some things are just too evil to bear. The sound of its voice sounded like their own voice, but rasp deep, like an echo, a lasting hiss to the end of their own voices. You've come bearing such trife, emotion. What is this king? Never heard of him. Sounds fascinating. The way it spoke was like a sickening grin, ear to ear, just loving every moment of this endless expanse of time before breaking it with an eternal chat that none of them could cover their ears to avoid. As his voice filled them from the inside, it killed every bit of anger. It sapped them of all kinds of energy. At least half fell to their knees immediately within just that short saying. Yes, a little more. As if the thing started to move and take more than it needed. It began to shift again. The world around them, or at least what you could call a world, or whatever they were seeing, a vision or something so problematic, and yet they all couldn't stand anymore. Some time had passed. They found themselves unconscious, laying in the square of the kingdom. And for once, the entire kingdom was dead silent. A word between them, and they could tell that it would just go on forever, like a dead echo, off the walls of these buildings, off these shops, off these towers that used to keep them so safe and allow them to know that they were a part of something. It was all gone. There was no home to return to. That's when a bright light appeared in the sky above them. They still couldn't bring themselves to look up. They were barely looking at things from peripheral vision to know that the town was dead, till this flash of light, till these shadows danced in their vision. Something about it was so soothing and so comforting, and then they found their strength again. They managed to find their feet and get back up. As they do, so steady and so uneasy, like a child learning to walk. They stumbled and had to help each other up and looked around, little by little, just knowing something was wrong. Something about this entire situation, about how the kingdom has turned into this graveyard, was wrong. They measured glances at each other and looked at the equipment that they had on them, knowing that they did not have what it took to do anything, to anything, if they were to come upon it, because when they really took notice of each other, they were frail, old, like all their time had been taken away. Everything. Their bones creaked, though they felt like newborns just a moment before, now just filled with such rapid age, pain, like you wouldn't believe, echoing through their body with every step, with every movement. And again, there was this brilliant light. And as they continued to move with whatever strength they had, they continued through this empty kingdom. No lights anywhere to be found, no people to be found, no sounds to be heard. Even with the flashing light like lightning, there was no thunder. So they pressed on and on. They searched, and what dragged on for what felt like an even longer eternity than dealing with whatever was looking upon them before. This is all wrong. One of them finally spoke. How has the kingdom come to this? How have we come to this? It finally really sat with them. Did we do this? Did we unleash something so horrible out of our own chest, our own selfishness, that we destroyed a whole kingdom and His Majesty? find His Majesty. They all just looked at each other. Really acknowledging what they had done. And for the first time in a long time, the thing that they wanted to see most was the king. Something strikes me as funny. This will be part 2, and there will be a third part. Don't worry, it's gonna be a blast.